Hello? Oh, I forgot to turn my fans off. I should turn my fans off. I don't know if you can even hear the fans, but I just like turning them off. Uh, here, there we go. They're off now. Yeah, there's gonna be no Constantine. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Uh, he's very busy man. But it's okay. Uh, so how's everybody doing? Yeah, you should be able to hear me now. Should be good. Everything should be great. I um I didn't I didn't get I didn't fully get to update my map today. In fact, maybe I'll update it while just talking here. Um there's some news that happened today that I'm not going to talk about. For example, those leaked documents. I'm not going to talk about leaked documents. Um Mostly cuz I don't know anything about the documents, so I don't really have anything to say. So, it's nothing, you know. But that's really kind of the main thing. I uh I didn't get to update the gray area on the map, which is what I'm doing now. Um but yeah, today in Bakhmut, oops. Today in Bakhmut was not a good day. Um I don't have all the details on what happened, but I do know that whatever happened was bad. It was not good. Um, but what was also kind of amusing about it is that however bad it is in Bakhmut, it's still better than what the Russian propaganda is saying, because they're so far out ahead on their skis that they're just not really telling the truth about anything. And so it's like today, days like today, where they had like a major, potentially a major breakthrough today in Bakhmut. The Russians can't even talk about it because they lied and said the breakthrough happened like 4 days ago. So they can't even talk about their own successes because they're so busy lying. It blows my mind. Uh, yeah, but this also happened in Pisky. If you remember, um, they said that they had captured all of Pisky, when in reality they had only captured this part of Pisky, right, like right here. And then they just said, "Oh, we have it all now." And then they had to fight for like another like few months because there's all of this other part of Pisky. So it was just this whole big embarrassment because they just get so far out ahead of themselves. They can't even celebrate their own victories because they're so busy lying. It's not a good way to live your life, you know? Just be honest. But there are a few things. I'm not gonna update the map the whole time, but there are a few things that did not update correctly, and this is just a part of Google Maps. You just deal with it. Like this whole part didn't update correctly. See what happens is that every once in a while Google will just undo your edits. But anyways, today um, there was a large artillery strike um, southeast of Slovyansk. I don't know exactly where. Um, I was told that it was about 15 kilometers southeast of Slovyansk, um, and that would make it around here, which is interesting for a reason I'll get to in a second. But there's another town that is a little bit further away. What is this, like maybe 20 kilometers away instead of 15 or whatever? This town here, I don't know how to say that. I'm not gonna try. It's like well, I'll try. I'll try. Nikiforivka. Is that how you say it? I don't know. This town here, Russia just really likes blowing up this town. They've been blowing it up for about 8 months. 8 months of just continually blowing up this little town. Why? Why, you ask? Who knows? They just blow it up all the time, just for fun. They've just been shooting it a lot. Um, so it is possible that they were blowing up this town. But this town here, this location, there's a T-64 was destroyed. See, the thing about this T-64 is that I had never seen this video before. Oh yeah, I never sent out a notification. I'll send out a notification. Um, but while I send that out, I'll tell you that I had never seen this video before. So when I show you the video in a moment, it is possible that you might tell me, "Oh, I've seen that video. It's an old video. It might be an old video. I don't know, but you'll see." And the thing is that this video combined with the news about Slovyansk is it's interesting. Uh, so I'll show you the video right now. Here's the video. Um, Here we go. See, this is a MLRS shooting at this little town, and they hit something, and it was a tank. So this explosion was right here, right there, and it blew up a T-64. So it's a very convenient that this was pretty much exactly the distance from Slovyansk that was told to me. That they heard a large artillery strike, and the artillery strike that was described was a very long and intensive strike. It wasn't like a few shots. It was like just 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 tons of artillery, like a giant barrage, for a very long time, like hours. Um, were they building in this town? I don't know. I don't really know much about this town other than um, T-64 blew up there. Did I eat dinner? Yes, I ate dinner. It was pasta. I'm Italian. That's what we eat. Anyways, uh, the fellow Russophobes guys here. Anyway, so that was interesting. Another interesting thing. Again, I don't know how old this video was, and I don't have the video to show you, and it's not very interesting anyway. But there was a TOS one blew up this building right here, and I think it was actually probably an old video, but I just marked it for fun. But anyways, so I guess I can go through big strikes first because look, there's a lot of big strikes today. There's a lot of strikes. Okay, so I'll go like I guess I'll go north to south. In Luhansk, in this town here, they blew up an ammo depot. Ukraine blew up an ammo depot. This is a really tiny like farm town, so it's not really much going on there, but it's one less ammo depot. Here is super interesting because it shows kind of the full extent of the Russian advance, but there was a MTLB destroyed exactly right there. Um, See, like I know some people have marked that this was all in Russian control. I don't really think it is. I think it's all a gray area, but there was MTLB destroyed there. That's kind of interesting. Over here, there is a the the rapier uh, towed gun destroyed exactly right here. It was, I believe, shooting north towards Bilohorivka, or perhaps, yeah, I think it was shooting north. I don't think it can shoot list. But anyways, it was exactly right there. And what else? Um, there's the toss. There was a Nona self-propelled mortar destroyed exactly right there, which was interesting because yesterday there was a Nona destroyed exactly right there. So tells you something. There's lots of Nonas in that town apparently, and then further strikes. Now we're getting into kind of an interesting territory. There's a story connected to this. First, the least interesting part of the story was that there was an explosion somewhere in this town. But the more interesting part of this story, and I don't know if this story is true, but it's a fun story. And it might be fake. It probably is fake, but it's fun. The first part of the story, which is true, is definitely true, is that Ukraine shot a Gimler, at least one, towards Volnovakha. And I don't know what the well, actually, I do exactly know what the target was. The target was a apparently a supermarket, or at least the building next to the supermarket. And I can't find the supermarket. I spent like 3 hours looking for it. I was just like going building by building through this town, and I can't find it. Like it's like doesn't exist apparently. But so but that's kind of like the boring part of the story is that they blew up a supermarket or whatever with a Gimler. The funnier part is that the Russians fired a whole bunch of S-300s at the Gimlers, and the S-300s all missed because they can't actually shoot down a Gimler, and they landed all over the city and did more damage than a Gimler did. Which is just, it's just kind of funny. So apparently one of the S-300 landed in kind of the center area, which is a like a locomotive, like I don't remember what this word is, but this locomotive thing. It landed like somewhere in here. Another one landed next to a bunch of schools. There's like I can't remember where. It was like here, I think. There's here, I'll just search the word school. There's one place where there's two schools like across the street from each other. Oh, it is here. It's the one I marked apparently. So there's two schools here because as I said, I couldn't find the actual uh, supermarket. But anyways, there's two schools that kind of landed in between them apparently, and then there are a few more, and there are photographs as well of these S-300 just landing all over the town. So it's just kind of a funny story that they managed to do more damage trying to shoot down the Gimler than the Gimler itself did. And then moving on, uh, there was a several self-propelled guns destroyed in Ivana Franca, and Melitopol has been just covered with various sorts of long-range munitions. The airport apparently got hit, the northern part of the city, and school number 24, which is very confusing because there's two school number 24. So I just kind of randomly guessed one. I think there's one there and like one here. Anyway, they hit school number 24. And then, furthermore, uh, over here in Saki or whatever this place is called, Ukraine took out several more self-propelled guns that were all stored in a little hangar. I can show you this little hangar. A little hangar full of self-propelled guns that exploded. And then down here in Crimea, there's a rather large fire next to a bunch of chickens and a poultry farm. And apparently this may have been a ammo, perhaps. I don't know. Some people say it's ammo. So those are all of the long range strikes. Usually they're fewer, but today there were a bunch, and they're kind of some of them are kind of fun. So that's kind of the long range news. Now to get into specific news, um, how long is my Twitch ban? It was 30 days, and I don't remember how long ago that was. It's probably almost done, honestly. It might even be done already. I don't know. Anyways, in in the Kupiansk area, I have previously talked about how Ukraine had systematically destroyed all of the Russian artillery using counter battery fire, and uh, and then I talked about last time on Tuesday, Russia had sent in more artillery and done a huge artillery barrage along the Ukrainian positions where they had, just basically this general area where Ukraine has all their artillery. And now I hear that Ukraine is now picking apart the new pieces of artillery that Russia has sent. They're now in the process of hunting down and destroying them all. So that is the Kupiansk news. It's that just Russia fed the machine. They fed the Ukrainian artillery crews, um, and the artillery crew is now eating them. Yeah, yeah. There was I got banned from Twitch. It wasn't a ban. It was a suspension. We got suspended because a guy, he was running with a big bowl of borscht, and he tripped and fell, and his borscht fell out of the bowl, and he just was laying there. It was kind of like, have you seen The Office? Yeah, where he spills his big pot of chili. It was a lot like that. But Twitch just takes borscht very seriously. Um, I don't think the Russian commander who got fired. I don't think it was here. He was from Vuhledar, I believe. The Vuhledar guy was the one who got fired. But so most of this area is largely unchanged. It's likely. I typically keep my map very conservative. It's it's pretty likely that Ukraine controls this entire forest and possibly even this forest. So like this whole area might actually be under Ukrainian control. I just keep it very conservative because I don't want to get I don't want to be like the Russians where you get too far out ahead of your skis and then make yourself look like an idiot. So I just keep this very conservative. Um, but there's a good chance that this is all kind of under that the Ukrainian control is actually further east than I have it. The Kremena commander. I mean, sure, he got replaced. He's not the commander here is failing. He's completely failed. If you remember, they did a huge offensive. They sent in all these forces. They pushed along the entire front, um, from Kupiansk, this whole Kupiansk area. They pushed through all these towns I don't know how to say, and then Constantine says them because I don't know how to, but he's not here this time. So now nobody's going to say them. But all of these towns that are difficult to say, they try to push through, and then they try to push through Chervono Popivka and Plashanka. They tried getting to Makivka. They even lied and said they reached Makivka and then published videos from like 6 months ago saying that they were there, even though it was very obviously last year. And then the same with Nevska. The closest they've ever gotten to success is right around here, where they almost reached Yampolivka, they almost reached Torska, but they're stuck because it's very difficult to move here. And then in the forest, they pushed Ukraine back, and you see that I've drawn more uh, Ukrainian control. They've shrunk the gray area here, but it's been a total failure. So any commander here should get fired. They're terrible. Even in like part of their offensive, in part of their offensive, I don't know if you remember this, but they lost all of this territory in their offensive. How do you lose territory in an offensive? That's embarrassing. But anyways, so we move on. I don't have much news about Siversk, this whole kind of area. I know that Ukraine shelled apparently Lysychansk, um, or it may not actually have been Ukraine shelling it, but let's just say let's put it this way: Lysychansk got shelled by somebody. It may have been Ukraine, although it's just the stories associated with it just make it feel like a propaganda campaign. But Ukraine has shelled Lysychansk in the recent past, so I don't know. Uh, but yeah, there's like kind of general fighting south of Sperna. And then all of this is kind of just not really happening. And then I talked to you about this town that gets shelled all the time. And then we talked about this town where the tank exploded. And then southeast of Slovyansk, there was reported a huge artillery barrage. Talked about all that already. In Slovyansk, there may have been an explosion, although that may have been the artillery barrage. It's also possible that this artillery barrage was actually the explosion. This is the sort of problems you run into when you are getting news from people, because people can be wrong. Anyways, this whole kind of northern part of Bakhmut, not much is happening. Bodanivka is under a lot of threat, but not much has happened. In fact, I think Ukraine has gained ground around it, which is kind of funny. And then there's our friend Bakhmut, where things are not going well. Um, in Bakhmut, the center. It's hard to describe things because I choose to describe things based on the current front line, not on the actual rate, like the city, because I don't really care about the city. So if we talk about the current front line and just keep in mind, I'm only talking about the current front line when I describe where things are. Just it's in regards to the current front line. So in the center of the city, things are going very badly for Ukraine. Um, they may have lost a bunch of strongholds today. It's kind of hard to make an account of exactly what's going on. But one thing we can say for certain is that Russia has not, they have not crossed the railroad, at least in the center. So they have not, they keep saying they have, they keep saying that they've captured the rail station, and they haven't. But they might be getting really close to attacking it, which is bad. Um, then in the north of the city, there is no news of change, and in the south, which I was kind of updating, and I kind of didn't update right, as you see, it there's very minor changes in the south, um, mostly as they. This is also kind of part of my just being conservative, but Russia controls everything south of this street here, and they control everything like east of right here. And anyway, so you see on the map what it looks like, and then this area that's not drawn in at all is all Russian control. It just didn't, the map didn't update right, and I have to manually fix it. So did the guys get out? Um, some of them. That's all I can really say. It's some of them, not all of them, not all of them. Did the snow melt yet? Um, I assume so. I don't actually know. I assume so. It's been like warm and rainy, so it just doesn't. It usually melts snow pretty quickly. And then the area south of Bakhmut, which didn't didn't really render right, which I had to manually fix. But here I'll just go to my other map. I think my other map um might might look better, maybe. Nope. It looks. I hate Google so much. It's all the frustration I get dealing with Google. But the this whole section east or west of the canal is under Russian control, and they're pushing along these forest strips to the west basically. So they're moving along this forest strip here, which is like near Kurdimivka and Avdiivka. They're moving along this forest strip here, which is near kind of Andriivka, and they're moving along this forest strip here, which is kind of near Klishivka. They're not really making much progress, but it's a little bit of progress, like maybe a few hundred meters. It's nothing super serious, but you know, um, yeah. The flanks. It's not just that the Russia just doesn't have the forces to attack on the flanks. That's kind of their issues. They don't have enough men to actually finish off the encirclement. So even if the weather were perfect, they still wouldn't be able to do it. The closer they push, the easier it is for Ukraine to counterattack them. And they just don't have enough forces to actually finish that job. So they kind of realized that it was just kind of a waste of time. And while they have Ukraine, while they are forcing Ukraine to defend these positions, they're just throwing everything they have into the city, because let's just be honest, the city is like almost taken. Like, there's no reason to no reason to pretend that the city isn't nearly lost at this point. Like Russia's getting pretty close to capturing it. They're this kind of section of the city around these train tracks is the hardest to attack for Russia. But once they break this line, like once you see them get to like here, it's kind of game over. Anyways, so around New York, and Novoselivka, uh, I've expanded the Ukrainian area of control. There are rumors that Ukraine is about to capture Novoselivka. I don't really believe that, but um, we'll see, I guess. Uh, but and then kind of moving into the Avdiivka area, where things are getting kind of interesting. Um, I up I increased the Ukrainian area control. I shrunk the gray area around basically this whole front here. So so Pervomaisky and Sevierna, and then around the western part of Avdiivka, so that it's all more Ukrainian control now. It's not a gray area anymore. Um, Russia is still trying to cross this big open field to attack Sevierna, and they're taking massive casualties doing it. It's a terrible idea. It's really difficult to attack. And they're still trying to attack Pervomaisky. They're still kind of stuck in this bottom section. And I'll just kind of go over why Pervomaisky is so difficult to attack. The reason is that all of these houses you see, all these structures, none of them exist anymore. They're all gone. There's just nothing. So In order to attack, they have to move through all of this nothing, 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 nothing until they reach Ukrainian resistance. And then in that process of moving through all of this nothing, they get picked off. So they try to move up, they get picked off, they retreat. They get hit by mortars, artillery, tanks, um, um, ATGMs, Stugnas, javelins, anything. So they have to move through this giant open nothing with no cover for a really long ways. And then every time they have some moderate success, because every once in a while they'll push up, and once they push up a certain amount, they'll call in giant artillery strikes to wipe out the next position, and then eventually they get pushed back out, and then they have to go even further the next attack. So every semi-successful attack just makes the next attack even harder. Not good. Yeah, there are there's been um these videos of positions in Novoslovka, but I don't really trust those videos, to be honest. I don't trust them. But it's easy it's easy to misunderstand videos like that. It takes more than just a video to kind of convince me of something. I need um some sort of collaborating evidence in addition to the video. Um, just the video itself, and also Ukraine has pushed into this town multiple times. I think I have it marked the last time. Uh, yeah. So it was. I think this town has changed hands like 4 or 5 times. Yeah. Well, Russia is mobilizing right now, but they never stopped mobilizing. They pretended that they stopped, but they didn't. Because there's only one person who can stop a mobilization order, and it's Putin. That's the way it works. So when they passed that law, the mobilizing law, the law goes until Putin says it's over, and then Putin never said it was over. If you remember, go back into your memory. Uh, you remember the governors said mobilization was over. It was like the governor of here said it's over. The governor of there said it's over. This governor, that governor, this governor. It was never Putin. Putin never said it was over. It never ended. The mobilization is still going. They don't need a second mobilization. They're still mobilizing. So that's just one of those things that the Russians are like that. They're very legalistic, where they're very deliberate with their language. Um, and this is just one of those examples where their legalistic culture is it rears its ugly head in situations like this, where you had a bunch of officials say it ended, but not the only person who mattered. Right now, yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of like all the military news I have, to be honest. There's really in the southern area around Orikhiv, nuts, the nut city. Nesteryanka, Kopani, and Rabitna are all getting heavily shelled by Ukrainian artillery. This is counter battery fire mostly. Um, if you look into these towns, Russia keeps artillery kind of in this kind of little triangle area. Um, I'm not sure where in Kopani they keep their artillery, but they keep it somewhere. And then the same in Rabitna, I'd imagine like over here. But anyway, the Ukraine has been pounding these three towns with artillery. Um, I told you before there was a self-propelled guns were destroyed over here. So basically, Ukraine is targeting artillery along this flank. They don't really so much attack infantry or whatever. They're just deliberately hunting and killing artillery. And the same goes for Kamyanka Dubrovska. Uh, they hunt artillery around here somewhere, and around Enerhodar, where they've taken out some artillery like along this canal thing, and then also they take out artillery kind of down here, and sometimes closer to Dubrovka, and every once in a while they'll reach down and hit Velika Belozerka, and sometimes Malo Belozerka. Uh, and yeah, and then the Kherson area. Um, don't really talk about this area too much, but it's sort of interesting in that this is a constant battle zone. You should not think of this as a quiet area. It is constant fighting. There might actually be more action going on around Kherson than there is in most of the rest of the country. It's just that all of it is special forces and boats and mortars and things that don't really go reported very often. Occasionally, there are reports. There have been videos of shelling along this part of the Konka River. There have been videos of shelling along these towns and around here and over here and over here, and so there's constant fighting all throughout all of these islands, all of these marshy things, all the way up the river. So recently, Ukraine, they like to talk about the Kinburn spit. They've recently said that they've somehow, according to them, I don't really believe it, but according to them, they've driven the Russians out of the Kinburn spit. And I want you to remember that this is the Kinburn spit right here. I think it ends like here. So this little thing here is the Kinburn spit, and this is Kinburn. Okay, so there's two different places or two different things, but so they're saying that they've driven the Russians out of the Kinburn spit, and maybe they're hiding in this forest or something. So, but Ukraine cannot capture the Kinburn spit themselves. The Russians, they bring artillery and mortars, and they hit Ochakiv pretty regularly. So this is kind of a semi-hot area. This is like a reality show. uh, those, like I said in the beginning of this stream, I don't want to talk about those documents because first, I don't really know anything about the documents. I read them, but that doesn't really mean anything. I don't know where they came from. I don't. Well, there's obviously there's dates associated with when it claims to be accurate. I can look at the documents and tell you that parts of it are very obviously photoshopped. I can tell you that. As someone who uses Photoshop, oh, I can tell you it's photoshopped. Numbers are obviously wrong. Obviously, I don't think I need to tell you which numbers. Obviously wrong. So um, I'm not convinced the documents are even real. So, or if they are real, what in the document is fake? Because we know I can tell you parts of it are fake. Like I can tell you with total certainty that there are aspects of that document that are totally fake. But which parts are real? How do you tell them apart? If there's something that, like, oh, I didn't know that. Does that mean it's fake or does it mean it's real? Like, I don't, it means nothing to me. I don't know how to, there's no way to analyze it. I can tell you that the US government is unhappy What does that mean though? Let me ask you something. Just as like a thought experiment. If the document were 100% fake, do you think that the government would be happy that a 100% fake document came out? I think they would be angry. I think they would be saying, why is there a totally fake document going around? I think they would still be upset. Also, don't you think that they would want to somehow shroud um, the document with some sort of intrigue? You kind of want people to think it's sort of real and sort of fake at the same time, because then if it's totally real, there's always that thought in the back of your head, maybe it's fake. And if it's totally fake, there's a thought in the back of your head, maybe it's real. Isn't that like the whole point of like espionage, to like make you not trust? So if the government not liking it doesn't tell you anything, they're supposed to not like it. But anyway, without going into detail, the document tells you, it says like how many Russians have died, how many Americans have died. It shows some maps. It shows some like how much ammo Ukraine is using, how many Gimlers they shoot, and stuff like that. Uh, anyways, that's all I'm gonna say about that document. Until I get like more information that I can actually go off of, other than the document itself, which I don't trust. So yeah, that's kind of all the news I have. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask them. For the moment, I'm gonna just fix my map. You could ask questions if you want while I fix my map, because it makes me sad that it broke. But, it's Google for you. What are the biggest sources of ammo? Um, well, there's obviously the NATO countries, and there are countries that they don't want you to know how much ammo they give or what type of ammo they give. So you have to keep that in mind, that they don't want you to know the truth. They tell you a number and they want you to believe that number, but that number might not be true. It might be bigger. So there's that. Then there's ammo that was for whatever reason seized from people. For example, we seized some ammo from Iran, right? And we kind of gave that ammo to Ukraine. Um, so there's that sort of stuff, and then there's the um, ammo that we kind of bought through back channels, um, where we went to countries that don't want to be part of the conflict and just kind of talk them into selling us stuff. Um, so there's that. So who else is giving ammo? It's really hard to tell because they don't. The people who give this stuff, they don't really want you to know that they're giving it, and they don't want you to know how much they're giving. Um, and also, the ammo that they're giving might not be very legal in the first place. Like I said, it may have fallen out the back of a truck, um, which appears to have happened where ammo from countries that is not supposed to be in Ukraine um, has ended up in Ukraine somehow. Like, I don't know if this is a secret, but there's been some Israeli ammo. And Israel, to my knowledge, has not given any ammo. And I don't know where you get Israeli ammo. I guess it fell off the back of a truck. Yeah, that those mortars, uh, with The shells are from Israel. Those mortars that you're talking about, those are Israeli shells. How those shells got to Ukraine, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. There's other sorts of ammo that's not supposed to be there. If there's one thing on my map that I marked a very, very, very long time ago, and you may have noticed it. It's been there the whole time. Um, it's right here. Uh, in a Nedilove, right here. There's a Chinese missile question mark. Date unknown. What's that about? I don't know. There's the local people here. They say that there is a missile from China that was a dud, and it landed in the town and it's just sitting there, it's like sticking out of the mud. Um, so whether this missile was actually from China, because a lot of people just just assume any uh like non-Latin character is China. It could be from North Korea. Who knows? I don't even know what type of missile it is. It could be a grad. It could be a grad from North Korea. It could be a missile from China. I don't know. Um, I know a group of people who they were driving through this town and they were curious and they were going to go see what this missile was about. And while they were driving through, they started getting shot by mortars, and the mortars were landing really close to them, so they just left. So that's just the sort of thing that I don't know. I'll tell you. Sometimes there's a sometimes there's a Chinese missile in the middle of nowhere for no reason. But it's really frustrating that my stupid Google map broke. I don't know how to fix it. I hate this. Uh, anyways, so do you have any other questions while I fix my map? You can watch me fix my map. This is what I do all day. So frustrating. There, and I'm gonna export this. And I'm gonna import it here. Um, I'll tell you why. Okay, so the question is, why does Ukraine let their guys have cell phones? How do you stop them from having a cell phone? Is my question. Because I'll tell you what, the Russians have cell phones. I don't I genuinely I don't know how you would stop them from having a cell phone. Um, what are you, what are you gonna do? uh, if they want a cell phone, they're gonna have a cell phone. The You can yell at them, I guess, but do I do what as part of my job? I make this map. Make this map is what I do. It's really frustrating when Google when I spend like 2 or 3 hours updating it, and then Google just undoes the update, and then makes me have to, well, not even undoes the update, just like undoes parts of the update. So then I have to like go through and fix it again. It's frustrating. Happens a lot though. A counterattack sword towards Popasna. It would be dangerous. I don't know how you do it at this point. Um, See, the problem is that Verkno Kamyanka is on the top of a big hill, and Ukraine can't take it, and they can't really do anything until they take it. So to get to Popasna, which is, down here, um, you would really need to take Verkno Kamyanka first. It really is the key to a lot. So when you take Verkno Kamyanka, it lets you attack Lysychansk, and it lets you attack Mykolaiivka, and then it lets you attack all of these other cities and towns and whatever. So you need to take Verkno Kamyanka first, and then you can move south towards Popasna if you wanted to, or you could move north to Lysychansk, which I think more likely you would take Verkno Kamyanka and then move north towards Lysychansk and Privilia, and then you'd probably cross the river and probably try to take Rybizhna and Severodonetsk and take this whole kind of region back, and that would kind of destabilize everything for Russia. I think that would be kind of the more uh, logical route. And then once you get all of that, you could turn towards Popasna. That could work, maybe. Um, the other thing you could do is kind of just move north towards Starobisk, which is would be a critical blow. This would be really bad if Russia lost Starobisk. It would be really really bad. Um, so so yeah. There were a few videos that I remember I saved. I don't remember what the videos were. Oh yeah, I remember this one. Uh, I talked about the town in Chernihiv, which got hit by two bombs dropped by Su-34s, and this is the result of one of the bombs. You can see the damage to the town, and then oh yeah, and this one I already showed you. That's the I'll just show it again. This is the T-64 blowing up. This T-64 was right here. It's kind of a weird place for a T-64 to blow up, don't you think? But the that bombing was up here. Um, uh, this was on the 4th, so it was 2 days ago. They dropped two bombs on this little town, which what is this? Uh, Pechenyiki or whatever. Um, they say that this town had uh, electronic warfare antennas in it. That is their claim. I don't know if this is actually true, but that's what they claim. They dropped bombs using Su-34, and given the distances involved, and the Su-34, it was likely a glide bomb because the Su-34 is one of the only planes that can drop that bomb. So it's likely one of their glide bombs. Um, I was. This is amusing to me, so I'm just going to share it. Um, Getting back to that document that I was telling you was photoshopped. Here's an example of the photoshopping. So we see this is the real document, and this is the fake document. It's obviously photoshopped. So I talked about Kupiansk already, but I'll just briefly talk about it again. Um, the artillery, the Ukrainian artillery around Kupiansk is now systematically attacking and destroying the new Russian artillery. Russians sent a whole bunch of stuff here, and now Ukraine is hunting it down and killing it again. Okay, so it is a really bad Photoshop. It's so obviously Photoshop too. Like the second I saw it, it's like it's obviously fake. It's obviously a fake document. And also how much else is fake? It's the question. It's like you can't trust anything it says. You can't trust it just because this was obvious doesn't mean the other stuff is. It could all that the other changes could be subtle, and it'd just be harder to see. Even someone who's terrible at Photoshop, even they can occasionally fool you. Attacking the Russian mainland is not gonna happen. It just it doesn't really make sense. Um, because you would just really piss off the Russian people. You would make them back the war even more. You'd be playing into Putin's hands, basically. That's why Putin has to fake these attacks, like that fake bombing in St. Petersburg. Well, obviously the bombing was real, but it wasn't a Ukrainian job, they want the Russians to think that Ukraine is actually attacking Russia. Ukraine has never attacked Russia, like ever. It makes no sense. You're just if Ukraine attacked Russia, it would just be playing into their hands. When was the last big delivery of NATO guns? Um, Honestly, I don't know. But speaking of NATO, I need to add Finland to my NATO map, don't I? Well, I never added Norway. See, screw it. I'm not gonna add Finland. I mean, to be fair, I haven't drawn like half of NATO. Anyways, the some of these countries might be giving more than you think. Finland may have given more than you think. Estonia has given a lot. Um, Poland might give more than you think. Slovakia might give more than you think. Um, they don't always advertise what they give. Sometimes they'll tell you, we gave X number of this gun. And that might be true. But they may have left out that they gave Y of this other gun. Like they don't necessarily tell you what they're doing. They don't want to tell you the truth. There's no reason for them to tell you the truth. Yeah, and Finnish artillery shells are some of the best artillery shells in the world. They just make them to a higher standard than everybody else. I don't know if they just spend more money on them. I don't know why. Like they just make better shells. And yeah, um, there was one story that I think came out yesterday that said that Ukraine has produced and delivered 100,000 mortar rounds. Um, to put that in perspective, Ukraine needs about a million a month, and I don't know how long it took them to make 100,000. But let's just say, just for the sake of argument, let's just say they could make 100,000 a month. That would be about 1/10 of their need, which would be not nothing. Making if Ukraine could make 1/10, that would be good because then Maybe like Germany could make a tenth, and France could make a tenth, and you know the UK could make a tenth, and Finland could make a tenth. And if you all make 1/10, then eventually you'll get to the total you need. So mortar rounds are very much needed. I think they're probably more needed than the 155. Um, they serve different roles, but the mortars are just so important. A lot of the ground that Ukraine lost around Bakhmut, a lot of this lost territory was due to not having enough mortars. Regarding the Belarusian or Belarusian uh, military, uh, I don't know how much equipment they have left because Russia's been they've just been taking everything. They took like they took all their frontline tanks and then they took like their reserve tanks. And now like all that's left is like their reserve of the reserve. And I don't know. Belarus never really prided itself on having a good military, I guess. So I don't know. Um the reason Ukraine doesn't attack this last little piece of Kharkiv is because what would the goal be? What would because you don't just attack things just to attack it. There has to be like some objective on like the other side. So what would be the goal to get to like Troitska, I guess? But Troitska is really defended and be very bad. And there's better ways to get there. Like you could attack like this way and go up the highway. uh, that's the reason Ukraine isn't attacking here. Just because there's no goal, like there's no end point. It's just kind of sending you off in the wrong direction. Ukraine needs to like hit like Svatova and Starobilsk and Lysychansk and Severodonetsk and Kremenna. Like they need to go like that way. Like going up here doesn't really achieve anything. I mean, you could go for Vladivostok. That is a viable route. Obviously, um, there's this whole Russian coast that's just ready and ripe for attack. I mean, but, you know, I guess Ukraine doesn't think out of the box like that. Yep. There's and I believe uh the the Pesheni I believe this also means sandy. Like Pisky means sandy and this means sandy. There's just lots of sand. Lots of words for sand. Yeah, I mean Japan's still at war with Russia, right? They don't even have to declare war. They can just fight. Look at these guys. They're so close. Just do it. Yeah. Remember back when this canal was relevant? uh, I remember when the canal was relevant. Retaking retaking Crimea by military means, it's possible. Honestly, I think one of the ways this war can end is just the collapse of the Russian military. And I think it's more likely than people realize for the military could just fall on itself, because there will be a time where if you run out of your assault units, if you run out of people who are willing to charge into combat, because not all soldiers are willing to do that. In fact, very few are. So if you run out of those assault people, and then you run out of your frontline armored vehicles, and you're left with either no armor or just junk armor, and now you have a whole bunch of people who don't want to attack, who are in weapons that they know are trash heaps. That is a sort of situation where the military could just fall apart. You could have mutinies. You could have just morale collapse. Just people refusing to fight anymore. I think that is a realistic end to this war. And I think that sort of ending Crimea could be taken through military means. If Russia actually defends Crimea, it will be really hard to take. It would be really, really hard. I don't really know what the state of this canal is at this point. Um, I don't really know. Um, I know that anyway, I don't think Russia really cares. I don't think. Okay, I don't know. Uh, but I think at this point, the Russian uh, ability to attack is degrading. They're they're running out of momentum. They're running out of motivated assault infantry, and they're running out of armor. They still have armor, but you can't use all of your armor to attack because you need to keep some in reserve, and you need some for defense. So I think they're running out of steam, and whether or not they take Bakhmut ultimately doesn't change anything really. So if they take Bakhmut, and then you're going to have a whole bunch of completely exhausted soldiers who just took a city, and you're gonna tell them, okay, you took the city, go take that now, and then take that, and then take that. They're, I don't think it's gonna go well for the Russians. I think they're gonna run out. They're gonna run out of juice, and then maybe they'll take 3 months off, and then maybe they can attack again. But in that 3 months, that's when Ukraine can attack. Yeah. Well, the VDV was never really good to begin with, as we've learned at Hostinal. Anyways, I don't really have anything else to talk about, so I'm gonna end the stream here. So it was nice seeing you guys. And I'll see you on Tuesday, and maybe it will be more than just me. Who knows? All right. See you later.